Well, welcome on this beautiful winter solstice evening here in the East Central Plains of Kansas. Primetime Sunday night, our kickoff, lead off, the Jacobson group here. John Jacobson here with Sean Torres and Coach Patrick J. Knapp Jr., the Georgetown legend, as we begin a sports review tonight on the shortest day of the year. Coach, at midnight, we head towards spring. The days get longer, and I always get pumped this time because tomorrow, the 22nd of December, is going to be a longer day with more sunlight, and I rejoice in that as I rejoice as we head to Christmas time. I want to thank all of you guys listening in here with us tonight from Franklin, Miami, Anderson, Lynn, Johnson, Douglas counties on KOFO 1220 103.7 and KOFO.com, the blowtorch of the East Central Plains of Kansas, your number one country giant, as well as your home away voice of the Kansas City Royals and the Ottawa Cyclones. And folks, it is so excellent to know we got folks listening in from Emporia by Manhattan, from our capital of Topeka, where the legislature is soon to convene again for the next session. For Rock Chalk Jayhawk country there, up just north in Lawrence, a 13-minute drive from here in Ottawa, as well as this signal carrying from Ottawa to Wellsville, to Baldwin City, home of the Baker University Wildcats, to Neosho County Community College, to Osawatomie, and to Osage, Gardner, Garnett, Princeton, Paola, Linden, and Richmond. And guys, thanks for all tuning in tonight. We want to thank Jim and Cindy Jandrin for sponsoring us through Life Runners. Go to liferunners.org. Get your T-shirt, Run and Walk for Life. Build that culture of life. Help those expectant mothers and their babies along the way and after they're born. And we give a great tribute to our friends down the road at Atchison, Kansas, at Benedictine University, who are the champions in the collegiate conferences in Kansas, the champions of being ones that build a culture of life. Kudos to Benedictine College in Atchison, Kansas. And also, thanks to Jim and Cindy Jandrin for sponsoring us from Midwest Renewable Energy, LLC. Renewable fuels, ethanol, energy for a strong America is lean, it's clean, and it's green. Well, guys, we've got the Georgetown legend himself, the Big East champion, the NCAA Sweet 16er, the Big Shot development wizard, and the ESPN broadcaster, Coach Patrick J. Knapp Jr., and he's going to march us to those trenches here, as not only is his expertise a forerunner and foundational block for making women's college hoops into the absolute mega ratings wattage that it is today. Coach built those blocks for the industry going back to his perch at Georgetown, D.C. a third of a century ago. And now many are reaping the benefits of his efforts with Gino Auriemma to get on national TV, first time ever, and to get the media moguls and the senators and congressmen to vote for Title IX and get parity for women's funding. Coach also, he knows his football. He's going to talk a little bit about college football playoffs. We had a lot of action yesterday, as well as, tumult in the NFL. Incredible games. Packers-Bears among those. Some other crazy two-point conversions. But first, let's lead off because our Kansas Jayhawk women were playing. Some neighbors up north. Coach Knapp, welcome to the show. Let's start out with women's hoops. Go, baby.
Yeah, there was a great game on today, and we hope that locally people got to watch it. It was on ESPN, too. Kansas lost to Iowa State in Ames.
Women's game. This is the women's game, right, Coach? Just to set the table here. Women's.
Correct. Women's games. Billy Finelli for Iowa State beat Kansas, the Lady Jayhawks, 79-76.
Wow.
And the game was at the buzzer, John.
Oh, my goodness.
Iowa State player hit the shot at the buzzer. I think it was number 3. Well, I'll have to come back to that. But I can tell you that both of these teams went back and forth the entire game. Very well-executed offenses. It was although the score is kind of high for what is a slow tempo, both teams really did play slow. They only went out on the break when they had the opportunity. It went back and forth with 15 seconds left. Kansas scored to tie it.
Wow.
Or they ran a play to tie it, and then with 5 seconds left, Iowa State called timeout, went against the Kansas zone, which I was interested in seeing, not man-to-man. They tried to get in once to Audi Crooks, who had 41 points today.
Cow.
41 for Iowa State.
Oh, man.
They made one look into Crooks, and they threw it to the corner, and bingo, the Iowa State player drilled it. So very exciting Big 12 game, Iowa State versus the Kansas women, 79-76.
Do these both look like NCAA tournament teams to you, Coach?
Yeah, I think Kansas, although they had a good year last year, didn't make the tournament.
Right.
They are one of the better teams record-wise right now in the Big 12. So I think that the Big 12 probably has 5, 7 women's teams.
Wow.
They'll have more than that on the men's side. But Kansas playing very well right now.
Guys, this is what's great about this show. We've got a national expert who zeroes in on Kansas and K-State like a laser beam. Coach, really great take. I'm so glad that women's basketball has become so popular. And yeah, Audi Crooks, she's a franchise player, isn't she, for the Cyclones and the Big 12?
I'll tell you what, John, I was watching the game, and I didn't think she had 41 points. It was unbelievable. In 30 minutes, by the way.
Holy moly.
Did take a few breaks. The big-time player for Kansas is Shemaiah Nichols. She had 29. She did not disappoint.
Great game.
But I just thought the pace of the game and how both teams attacked each other methodically with half-court offensive execution, very few fast breaks. You can tell that the shooting percentages have to be high. Kansas 49% shooting, and believe it or not, Iowa State 55%
My
shooting.
Goodness. Wow.
It seems to me I would have done something different defensively to throw off the rhythm of these teams. But it was a very methodical game.
Interesting. Coach, was it at Hilton? Was it in Ames?
It was in Ames, and great crowd. Great crowd, no doubt. I don't have the final number on that. But on a Sunday afternoon, you know how the people in Ames are. Their men's team had already played the day before.
And the students are all out of town on break, and they still almost filled that Coliseum there.
Oh, yeah. Well, I love our Iowa and Iowa State teams, but it's not like living out on the East Coast, Philly, New York, Boston, D.C., where there's 100 more things to do.
Right.
So they show up and support the Hawkeyes and the Cyclones, no doubt.
Well, Coach, you recruited very well in the Midwest and the Middle Eastern states here, whether it was Michigan or Indiana or into Iowa. Coach, how edifying and rewarding is it to you knowing that you were building those blocks a third of a century ago with a very young Gino Auriemma in front of the Congress and the Senate, and Title IX funding came in, and John Thompson, Patrick Ewing, there was a big buzz at Georgetown. You guys got on national TV, and now the fruits of your labor, you were part of that at ground floor there to see this enormous popularity of women's hoops. It was always there at the high school level, but never at the collegiate level. You really were part of bumping that up, Coach.
Well, we did do a great job in the Big East in total.
You sure did.
With our commissioner and our administration, because the Big East TV network was created in the 80s.
Yes, sir.
Not just for the men, but for the women.
Yep.
Now, UConn carried the banner, no doubt, with many, many, not only undefeated seasons, but Final Four seasons. But the rest of us were a big part of it. And the Big East had a lot to do with putting women's basketball on TV back, what is it, John, 38 years ago? 40 years ago?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, Coach, what I admire is you also did grab the attention of our lawmakers in D.C. They were getting that vibe, and ESPN was on the air back then. Cable had come to the fore in the early 80s, and they were reporting. And yeah, Coach, just tremendous growth, and I really think you're a key part of that. And still today, you're very viable. You're still doing games. You did one the other night, I think, didn't you, for ESPN, for New Mexico State University women?
Yeah, we had 2 last week. We played Western New Mexico, which was a blowout, and then 2 days later, we lost to Cal Irvine, who has a pretty good team. They could very well win the Big West Conference. It's mostly a California conference, and our Aggie women lost to St. Mary's of the WCC yesterday. That was a road game.
Sure.
They're having a rough one right now. And John, the other thing I want to say about TV and the Big East back in the day, make no mistake that the synergy between Connecticut and ESPN, both being in Connecticut, had a lot to do
Great
with
point. I overlooked that entirely.
The pushing of women's basketball.
Great point, Coach. Very salient observation. Totally lost on me. That's a great take. And, it's just an amazing thing. Now, Coach, you've got your own podcast going, too. We love it that you're co-anchoring with us here. And we try to point folks to you as often as possible. But let's just lay it down for some newbies that might want to catch more of your great takes with Jerry Busson. Tell us how we can find that podcast, what it's called, and what you got up.
Well, Play-by-Play with Jerry Busson and myself is anywhere that you get your podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, etc. We also now post on YouTube where you can see our ugly mugs doing sports and college and NFL picks. We did one last weekend. That'll be the last one we do for 2 weeks. And then we'll have some special guests on come early in the new year. But, John, let me go, since we are obviously local, Kansas City and otherwise, let me also go to the Kansas City Royals right now.
Yes, let's do so. We are the home and away voice of your Royals. Take it away, Coach.
They have made some small, quiet, but significant moves. I felt that last year their Achilles heel was they didn't have enough pitching. They did have some starters get hurt. They didn't have enough in the bullpen except for Carlos Estevez.
Yep.
Right off the bat, what they've done here in December, in the winter, they just acquired Matt Strom, a lefty from the Philadelphia Phillies, for Jonathan Bolin. Now, Strom has had 3 really good years from the Phillies. Bolin is a young player who pitches intermittently. I think the Phillies have a salary dump here. They saved $7.5 million because they're trying to sign their all-star catcher, JT Realmuto.
Interesting.
But Strom, in the back end of that bullpen, will really help the Royals with Carlos Estevez. Then they signed this guy, Lane Thomas, an outfielder, and I think he came from Arizona, so he's a free agent. 1-year contract, but he's an excellent right-handed bat against lefties. It's a real good pickup. I was surprised they traded Angel Zerpa, who had a really good year in the bullpen.
Yeah.
But they traded him to Milwaukee for Isaac Collins, an outfielder, and Nick Mears, a back-end starter, a right-hander. They're really high on Collins. Collins really did have a great contribution with Milwaukee this year. So Milwaukee gets a pitcher, but the Royals get Isaac Collins and Nick Mears. So really, Matt Strom, Isaac Collins, Lane Thomas, really good pickups. Obviously, a mid-major market, so they're not going to overspend for guys. So they got great value here.
Where are you going to find great takes like this from a nationally respected broadcaster like Coach Knapp on the official affiliate for your Kansas City Royals baseball? Guys, we may be a little depressed about the Chiefs, but hey, getting pumped. And you know what? Since we're passing the winter solstice tonight, baseball season, we're getting close, guys. It's going to be here before we know it. And according to Coach Knapp, the Royals have much to be chipper about. Well, Coach, we are now in the throes of football season. We're going to have Coach talk about college and pro playoffs here. And thank Jim and Cindy Janner for sponsoring us through Midwest Renewable Energy, LLC, on the southeast plains of the Husker State there. Energy for Strong America, lean, clean, and green. Renewable fuel, ethanol, as well as their sponsorship of liferunners.org. Get your shirt, walk or run for life. Go to that website, liferunners.org. Helping moms and their babies both before and after birth. And we salute Benedictine College for their great support of Life Runners. Send your kids to Benedictine College, folks. It's just down the road here in Atchison. Not a better school in the United States. Coach, let's talk about college and NFL playoffs. Go!
Yeah, college football yesterday. Well, first of all, starting Friday night, Alabama at Oklahoma was the best game of the weekend. When you're down 17-0 on the road in the second quarter at Oklahoma, that's a tough one to come back.
It is.
But Alabama scored the next 34 points, outscored Oklahoma 34-7 the rest of the game.
Man.
And it was just an inspiring win. Ty Simpson played great at quarterback. So Alabama had a 2-game losing streak to Oklahoma, and they scored very little against the Sooners in the past, at 34 points Friday night. And the Crimson Tide now move on, John, to a January 1 Rose Bowl against Indiana, which should be a heck of a team.
Coach, is Indiana maybe properly an underdog for that at this juncture? What say you?
No, Indiana is a 7-point favorite, believe it or not.
I can't believe that.
No, I don't think I'd take that bet. The other great game was Miami at Texas A&M.
Yes.
It was a slugfest. Both lines of scrimmage controlled the game. Miami scored late. They won 10-3, which is a big road win for Miami, being that most people doubted they would get in.
I know.
Some people thought Notre Dame would get in.
Yep.
So, and they didn't even win the ACC championship. But they proved their worth. So that sets them up for a December 31st game in Dallas, the Cotton Bowl, against Ohio State. They'll have their hands full there.
Yeah.
Miami is a 9.5-point underdog in that game. The other games were basically blowouts. Ole Miss and Oregon won their games against a group of 5 teams. But the Orange Bowl on January 1, Oregon versus Texas Tech will be a good one. Texas Tech favored by 1.5 points. Both teams extremely talented on the perimeter. Texas Tech probably has an advantage with its pro front line, defensive line, that they have famously paid $7 million to that defensive line to sign them up for Texas Tech. So the Orange Bowl will be exciting. The other game on January 1st is the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, and the SEC reigns supreme down there. Perfect location. Ole Miss against Georgia, and Georgia is a 6.5-point favorite. They'll dismiss Ole Miss right now, even though they've had that coaching shakeup. Peter Golding is their new coach. They seem to have, he was on the staff, he was the defense coordinator. The players seem to be all dialed in. They want to prove Lane Kiffin wrong. I think that will be tighter than 6.5.
Interesting. Coach, I read that Lane Kiffin still qualifies for the bonus for them winning that game the other night. Can that be true? There was an article today I read. It must be true. He volunteered to stay. They cut him loose a game early. I guess he's still entitled to the bonus for the team victory the other night.
Well, if he was smart, he would donate it to the Old Miss fan club or whatever. But I can't believe that. The Old Miss NIL, well, that's what you ought to do.
Exactly. Or the Poor Clare sisters, maybe.
And then we have the pros, John.
Yeah, oh my goodness, pros. NFL action, guys. I'll tell you what, this Packers-Bears thing, this season, guys, is, if I can properly go back to 1962, when you had the Bears and the Packers, it was amazing back in the day. That was one of the years that Paul Hornung was suspended. 1962, I believe it was. Packers and Bears, and there were no wild cards back in the day. The Bears, 11-1-2. The Packers, 11-2-1, and it came down to the Bears beating the Packers head-to-head. And so the Packers, that under Lombardi, won 5 out of 7 national football championships in a row. That was one of the 2 years that they did not win. Coach, they were shut out with an 11-2-1 record. And my goodness, the Pack had the Bears on the ropes up at Lambeau just a few weeks ago, and then they dropped that heartbreaker. And then yesterday, what happened? Take us down through what's happened these last several days. We had a bizarre 2-point conversion and an Al Michaels called game. We had Packers-Bears. Take us on a tour, Coach.
Well, that seemed forever ago, that game, which was the Rams at the Seahawks. That was very exciting. Outstanding game. I knew the Seahawks were going to go for 2. This was Thursday night.
Yeah, just a few days ago.
Touchdowns.
It seemed like forever ago.
Yeah. I mean, with 8 minutes to go, right, the Rams were up 2 scores.
Yeah.
And the quarterback for the Seahawks was not playing well. He had a couple of picks.
Yep.
But he drove them down twice. And the last score, you knew that late in that game, Seattle was not going to go for a tie. A tie did not benefit them at all.
Right.
They went for 2, and with a really, really smart play where the tight end stayed in the block and then drifted out into a seam, caught the Ram D-back, totally flat-footed. He was wide open in the end zone, and Seattle beats the Rams. The Rams are still, by many, John, the favorite in the NFC to get to the Super Bowl. But they, at this juncture, if things hold up, they will not have home field advantage. And I think that's probably more important to have.
Yeah, I agree.
As you know, last night, Caleb Williams felt it as soon as it left his hand, and then in a flash, the Bears were celebrating a big win as he hit DJ Moore in the end zone.
Incredible.
John, what was that, a 40 or 50-yard pass?
Unbelievable.
The D-back was draped all over.
Yep.
DJ Moore,
Yep.
He caught it and went to the ground, kept the catch tight to his stomach, and bingo. That was one of the most exciting games of the year.
Oh, I agree.
About that.
Totally agree, Coach. So how does this set up home field? And the Packers were in the catbird seat, and now they may get a low wild card seed.
Yes. Well, again, we have some big games coming up the next 2 weeks.
We sure do.
To decide all this, particularly in the NFC West and in the NFC Central. But Seattle would have the number 1 seed. Then you'd have the Bears hosting Green Bay again.
Oh,
if
my
things
goodness.
held true. You'd have the Eagles hosting the 49ers.
Wow.
And you'd have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the Rams because they would have won the NFC South. This would be a long road for the Rams. They'd have 2 road games. In fact, no, they'd have all road games if they got to the NFC championship game.
Wow.
Seattle would run the table at home.
Hey, Coach.
The Detroit Lions. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Coach, I remember, this is how old I am. I remember before there was a Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I remember their first seasons. They were dreadful. I think they were 0-14 one year, and they brought in the great coach John McKay, who won multiple national titles at USC. And they were struggling at one point, and at the end of another horrendous loss, the press conference with Coach McKay afterwards, the reporter said, and Coach McKay, what do you think about your team's execution? And he said, I'm for it.
I'm in favor of it. Absolutely.
I'm in favor of it.
It was hilarious.
Irish wit he had. Continue. You want to talk about the Lions, another Central Division team.
Yeah, the Lions are still in it. If the Pack fade and Jordan Love, as you know, John, did not finish the game.
How serious is that concussion?
Chicago.
How serious is that concussion?
Well, I haven't read a report yet. But if the Lions win out and the Packers falter one more time, the Lions will get in. So that 7th spot is still open. Now, when we go to the AFC, Kansas City fans, forget about it. The Chiefs are in a rebuild.
Yeah.
They're in a rebuild.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that Mahomes, if he doesn't start the season, will start on October 1st with that knee injury. There's no doubt he will come back strong.
It looks like a full
But
9 months
now,
for rehab. That's what they are saying. So I think you're precisely correct on the date, Coach. He will not start the season, but he could get on there by the 1st of October. So it might be 4 or 5 games in the season, but, that would be huge to get him back. And he's aggressively working on both the ACL and the HCL. He had that surgery done immediately, and he's doing massive rehab as we speak. Continue.
Yeah, just so everybody, again, locally knows, the AFC West is owned by the Broncos and the Chargers this year.
Boy, are
the
they
Broncos
right.
have the number 1 seed. If the playoffs started today, Houston would play at New England. The Buffalo Bills would play at the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Chargers would play in Pittsburgh. But there are many, many toss-ups the next 2 weeks when it comes to divisions. Houston is not a shoe-in. The Steelers are not a shoe-in. That's about it. Those two spots will be up for grabs, with the Indianapolis Colts and the Baltimore Ravens still knocking on the door in their respective divisions. But the story in the NFL out west, John, in the AFC, is how well Bo Nix has played at quarterback for the Denver Broncos.
They've won 11 in a row, haven't they, Coach? I can't believe it. What a streak.
Yeah, everybody knew he was a good intermediate passer, and he had, I think, like 40 starts in college, so he had experience. They knew he was a good runner,
Right.
But he has expanded his game, improved his game. He's won games late with Sean Payton as your tutor up there at Denver, quarterback guru. He has really, really expanded his game and improved. Denver is legit to win that whole AFC side come playoff time.
Absolutely amazing. And I love this time of year. I even love these outdoor stadiums with the winter weather. And, Coach, I think of Marv Levy with 4 Super Bowls, no wins. Bud Grant with 4 Super Bowls and no wins. Those guys were great, gritty coaches, coaching in winter time. I remember Bud Grant coming back to do a coin flip with a short-sleeve Munsingwear shirt at minus 20 below wind chill at the age of 88. They're up in Minnesota years ago prior to his passing. And you know what? Marv Levy is still with us. He just celebrated his 100th birthday with Jim Kelly and all of his players there. It's great that we've still got a few guys left like Marv Levy who can go back that far in time, isn't it, Coach?
Yeah, they were gritty days, John. They were tough football games. I remember with the Vikings, they went to a Super Bowl with Joe Knapp.
Yes, they did.
Joe Knapp couldn't pass the ball further than my grandma, and they somehow gutted it out. They had great defenses, as we know. Purple People Eaters, Sir Foreman at running back. They were a strong team, but Bud Grant. Fran Tarkington was on TV and radio for these last few weeks nationally.
Yes.
For whatever reason, they dug him up. I have no idea.
Middle 80s. He's in his mid-80s. He does quite a lot of motivational and memorabilia stuff. I do see him on Facebook and social media. He's somehow commandeered a niche there. Continue, Coach.
Yeah, well, he's also created a small AI product that he thinks small business will use. That's his big thing. But he talked about how Bud Grant, when the season was over, the 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, they didn't practice for 1 week. They practiced only 1 week before the Super Bowl.
It was.
He's like, Bud, we've lost 3 or 4 of these.
Yeah.
Why don't we change the routine?
Yeah.
And Grant said, no, everybody needs to take that week off. I'm going to take the week off, go fishing up in northern Minnesota, and we'll see you guys 5 days before the Super Bowl. I was shocked at that.
Yeah.
Shocked at that.
I was too. I really was. I had read that account and just shook my head. And it is great that, Coach, there's still a few of us that even remember the Vikings before Tarkenton with Joe Knapp and his backup, Gary Quazzo, with Brown and Osborne in the backfield. And you had Paul Krause and some Iowa Hawkeyes there on defense. And, of course, the Iron Curtain of Page and Eller and Marshall and Tingelhoff and those guys. But I always liked Fred Cox, the chiropractor who basically was a part-time football player. He would come in and kick. It was hard not to love those old Vikings teams, Coach.
They were very good. They were very good. They couldn't get over the hump with Kansas City and a few others. And them and the Buffalo Bills have a storied history for the wrong reason in Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I remember that 69-70 team from the Vikings, 12-2, taking on the 11-3 L.A. Rams under George Allen up there at Metropolitan Stadium. The Vikings win that game, go on to lose in the Super Bowl. But, those two quarterbacks both became TV and movie cameo stars, Joe Kapp and then Roman Gabriel for the Rams. And Sonny Jurgensen, prior to that, was on a TV commercial with George Allen when Allen later coached the Washington Redskins after Vince Lombardi died. They were doing Muriel cigar commercials when you could still tout tobacco on TV. George Allen and Sonny Jurgensen doing a cigar commercial together. Those were the days, Coach.
Yeah, Sonny, I spent a lot of years in D.C. with Sonny as the color commentator for the Redskins. He was excellent.
Wow, yeah, that guy could throw. I had a Sonny Jurgensen Redskins poster in my room growing up as a kid, and you couldn't even see the paunch in the uniform. That was a good photo they took of him on the poster on my wall.
Yeah, Sonny Jurgensen, one of his great highlights, and I believe was with the Eagles before he was traded to the Redskins at the time for Norm Snead.
Yes, Norm Snead. I had his football card. Yes, great memory.
Yeah, well, we got a bum, and they got a Hall of Famer out of it. But Sonny Jurgensen completed. He was being sacked, and he threw a behind-the-back pass about 10 yards out in the flat. For a conversion, a first down conversion. The behind-the-back pass, that highlights a great one with Sonny Jurgensen.
And the frenemies colleagues there, Sonny Jurgensen and Billy Kilmer, going back and forth competing for that QB job. Rivals, the John Unitas, Earl Morrill, back and forth under Don Shula. Oh, Coach, we got so much to talk about, but we've come to the conclusion of our half hour today. Coach, again, how can they pick up play-by-play with Jerry Busson and Patrick J. Knapp Jr.?
Well, we have one up there right now on Spotify, iHeart, Apple, wherever you get yours. This one's on YouTube as well, and we'll have a new episode come January. I believe it's the 8th. So play-by-play, take a look.
All right, guys, what a great evening it's been tonight. Coach with some great inside tips on KU Women's and KC Royals. As always, we thank him for joining us. Guys, Christmas this Thursday. So as we sign off tonight, the days grow longer, the light shines more brightly. The light of Jesus Christ. Welcome him into your hearts this Christmas as the world welcomed him on earth historically years ago, and as we await his coming again in glory. John Jacobson here. Be safe, be smart, be good, be strong. Love Jesus Christ. God bless us, everyone, as Tiny Tim says, and we'll be back next week with more. Bye-bye.